a lie, but get over yourself, Emma. Get over yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, and welcome to my channel if you've never been here before. I am Andrea. I am a young adult author who is working on my second manuscript. And today we are discussing Of Triton by Anna Banks. If you have seen my Reread with Me series, then you know we just got done discussing Of Poseidon by Anna Banks, which was a long, lengthy, full-out spoilery discussion. It was interesting. If it is up before this, then I will link it down below. If not, then just know that, be prepared, guys. I don't see why it wouldn't be up before this because this is the second book, but just in case. Anywho, I will do the non-spoilery part of this review first. This is going to be a long one, so buckle yourselves in, guys, because we're in for a long ride. For those of you that don't like spoilers, this is the second book in the Serena Legacy series, and it follows our main character, Emma, who has just found out that her mom is the long-lost princess of the Poseidon house, Nalia, who supposedly died in a mining explosion years and years ago. Basically, when she finds this out, the goal in this book is to just get Nalia back to her home and kind of hope that Emma, who is a half-breed, which is an abomination, can somehow still be a part of her life. I mean, and Emma also has the gift of Poseidon, which means she can talk to fish, and the generals made these gifts so that the royal line would continue, and so that if anything happened, they would be able to help themselves and save themselves. So yeah, that's kind of the basic summary of this book. Not the best summary, but it's a basic summary. Overall, it was a decent book. I think this one was better than the first one. It was a little bit less cringeworthy. If you've seen the review, then you know the first one was cringy. It was much better. I gave it, I think I gave it 4 stars, but the real rating would be like 3.5 stars. It's fairly good, I will say that. It's not terrible. A lot of things that happen in this book are irritating, but overall it is good and I enjoyed it. The characters, I enjoyed Emma a little bit in this book. Galen was more tolerable in this book. Rachel was still Rachel. Emma's mom I hated in this book. Grom was okay in this book. Yeah. The plot was interesting, to say the least. The whole beginning of this book, the plot was just like, it was terrible. The end of this book, it gets like, wow. Like, this is a book that it's only like 250 pages, but you kind of skim. I would read some and then skim to the parts where stuff happened because I wanted to find out what happened, and then go back and read from there. So it's one of those books where you're like, come on, just give me some action, give me where it gets good. It's one of those books. But overall, the stuff that happens is fairly enjoyable, and it ends pretty well too. And that's all I really have to say for the non-spoilery people, because I suck at non-spoilery stuff. I'm sorry, guys. So if you are not looking for spoilers, now would be the time to hop off the video. And for those spoilery people, please keep watching because I can't wait. As you can see, I got tabs again for you guys. And it's a lot, so hopefully we can get through it fairly quickly. Alrighty, I'll give you guys a second to jump off if you don't want to hear spoilers, and then we'll get started. Okay, so you guys know I've got a ton of stickies, so we're just gonna dive right in because it's a lot. And I don't want this to be an hour-long video, so here we go. Alrighty, so I hate the beginning of this book, to put it as plain as possible. Literally, Emma's mother drives me mad. So she kidnaps her own daughter, chloroforms and kidnaps her own freaking daughter, guys. And I believe that the whole entire first tabs in this book are just me being upset that she had the audacity to kidnap her own daughter when Emma is 18, and she thinks that Grom has died. I'm skimming through my tabs because, again, I don't want this to be a super long video, so I'm just going to skim them and not fully discuss in detail. But she believes Grom has died and that Galen is bringing someone back to arrest her, and he's just used Emma. And Emma has this inner monologue where she's questioning everything that Galen ever told her. She's like, oh my gosh, did he do that? Would he do that? Would he just play me to kidnap my mom and take her back? And it's just like, oh, it's so irritating. And when you find out what happened, the fact that she pulled a knife on Galen and basically tried to kill him, chloroformed Raina and tied her to a chair, basically tossed Emma in the backseat of a car and just took her away. It's disturbing in more ways than one, mainly because Emma is 18. Why did you kidnap her? Number two, why did you kidnap your own daughter? And number three, you never told Emma anything, and that's what really irks me about this book, is the fact that Emma was never told anything, and then all of a sudden everything in the world changes and her mother is just completely fine with it. She has no issues at all, just changing everything and acting like nothing that's ever happened in Emma's life happened. We'll get there. I want to make sure I touch every single tab because it is important that I get these points said. So also we find out that it's only been 3 months since Chloe died at the beginning of this book, and the author just should have not said anything about that, because that just pisses me off with the fact that it's only been 3 months. She's not even grieving Chloe anymore after 3 months, and she's in love with Galen after 3 months. 3 months, guys. That's as long as it's been. This all occurred in the span of 3 months. I want to discuss it, but what is there even to say? Like, that's just completely ridiculous. It's unrealistic as heck. 3 months, guys. 3. I can't make this up. It literally says it. Moving on. Okay, so I didn't touch on this. Her mom literally says to her that Galen couldn't possibly want to be with her because he would never want to be with, and she stops. But Emma finishes the sentence for her, a half-breed. Her own mother says this about her daughter. Galen could never want to be with you because you're a half-breed. If I could dislike Nalia anymore right now, I don't think I can. I really don't think I can dislike her any more than I do at this very moment in time, because the things that she does and says in this book are just beyond words for me. They're just ridiculous on so many levels. And when Emma calls Galen, her mom gets upset and is like, no, you're coming with me. After Emma tells her she's not going with her, she's like, no, you're coming with me. You don't have a choice. What? You've been lying to her whole life. Now you're going to force her to go on this road trip with you so you can run away from your royal responsibilities and keep hiding from your species that you hid from her for her whole entire life. Like, I just cannot with this book, and I cannot with her mother, that she put her daughter in such a compromising position, and she's lied all this time, and now she wants to act like everything is fine. Like, we're just going on a little road trip. We're just going to run away from all our problems. Like, what are you teaching her? I'm talking really fast because I'm trying to get through this without this video being so long. But what are you teaching your daughter? To run away from her problems? Honestly. It can't get any worse, right? Wrong. Wrong. We'll get there. We find out that the reason her and Grom were arguing that day is because she wanted to go on land and learn more about the humans. And that's not really important. I just wanted to touch on the fact that she's always been interested in humans and now she's living among them. And this is also the chapter when Galen tells Grom that he won't be without Emma, even though she's a half-breed. And his brother says that he knows this, but that's all that he says, and that discussion is ended right at that. Okay, so this is the chapter to kill me. Like, just with this chapter, Emma's mom tells her the truth about how she met her father and the fact that she never, can't make this up again, never loved Emma's father, that Emma was just an accident. She says this, guys. A night of weakness on her mother's part. And then, I can't make this up, I put a tab on it, and it is important, this tab. She tells Emma to stop feeling sorry for herself. Stop feeling sorry for herself after finding out after 18 years and being lied to after 18 years that your father and your mother never loved each other. You were just an accident. Stop feeling sorry for yourself, guys. Stop. There just needs to be a pause here because I swear I can't make this crap up. Like, I don't know what I don't understand. And she literally says this and says that her and her father were good friends. Because yeah, when you find out your mother and your father were good friends, it makes you feel so much better after being lied to for 18 years and finding out you were an accident and your father and mother never loved each other. Your whole life is a lie. But get over yourself, Emma. Get over yourself. Oh, I just can't. Let's just continue. We're still in pink tabs, guys. We got green, orange, yellow, another pink, and another light green to go through. So we might as well just hurry this thing up. Rachel finds Emma and her mother, and Emma's mom has pulled out a gun in front of her daughter, mind you, and said she's not gonna shoot Rachel, she's just gonna scare her. She fires said gun. Rachel does get shot, and at first I didn't know where. I thought she was gonna die. And then Nalia also gets shot, but she doesn't even care. And she says, let's just leave her right there. Let's leave Rachel right there. And Emma's like, you can't just leave her there. And she's like, oh, she got a phone. She can call a hospital. And again, I can't dislike Emma's mother any more than I dislike her now, because really. Emma convinces her to go help Rachel. And Rachel is smart as heck, guys. She got shot in the foot, but she makes it seem like she's dying. So, of course, Emma's mom goes to help her. And then Rachel handcuffs Emma's mom to herself. So she can't leave now unless she's taking Rachel with her. And she can't do that because how is she going to explain that when they have to stop for gas or anything, that she's handcuffed to Rachel, right? Right. So this little chase that lasted up till page 52, I believe, is now officially over, basically. What kills me is the fact that nobody notices that there's been an accident in this little small back roads. People just drive right on by. Emma's standing out there by herself and people just drive right on by. They don't even stop. I want to say that's unrealistic, but I feel like it could be realistic in some circumstances. It's just odd, to say the least. So Grom and Nalia meet up. And I'm pretty sure the green tabs are all just about the fact that this is the most cringeworthy part of the entire freaking book. And we're only on page 57. But let's just get right to it. They get this hotel, they meet up, and let me just flip through my tabs real quick to make sure they're all about this so I can just go in depth. So this is the most cringeworthy part because Nalia, Emma's mom, is literally clinging to Grom. She's kissing Grom in front of Emma. She's sitting on Grom's lap. She's like making little laughy faces and smiley faces and blushing. And I cannot imagine what it feels like to be Emma right now. And there's literally a series of events or a series of things going on inside her head where she goes, grow up, grow up, grow up. And I just want to say, no, don't grow up, because that's disgusting and irritating. And the fact that her mom slips so easily right in front of her daughter, who she just told that she never loved her father and she was an accident, into Grom's arms and starts cuddling and kissing him in front of Emma, is just so disrespectful and irritating. And it's why I hate her mother. Like, I feel like this is just not good parenting in the slightest, not in the little bit, not even a teensy weensy, not this much, guys, not even that much. No, it's not good at all. It's cringeworthy. It's just disgusting. She just falls back into Grom's arms. She's just loving on Grom right in front of her daughter. And I just cannot imagine Emma's feelings. Betrayed, basically angry, upset, all kinds of feelings. And her mother doesn't even acknowledge it. It's like she doesn't even care. And I just can't even. I can't even, because what type of mother doesn't care how she's literally hurting her daughter right in front of her? No, she's too focused on Grom. And it seems like Grom is more important. That just needs to be said, because that's how it's portrayed. Sorry, not sorry. Galen also declares he wants Emma for his mate in this chapter, which we already knew, so it's not that important. It's a tab we can just kind of skip past. I just had it in there that he says it in front of Grom. Then they go through this sequence of events of how they're going to figure this out, because now, of course, Emma's mom's going to go back. Just leave her daughter and go back to declare herself the princess of Poseidon, and her and Grom are going to try to get mated after Grom tries to get unsealed from Paka, of course, because he's already mated to her. And Galen is next in line to mate with Nalia, right? But they're going to try to do this right and get all that stuff taken care of first. And then maybe Galen can mate with Emma. Maybe. So Emma snaps on Grom, which I think is funny, and she just tells him to go back home and leave them alone, that they can live on land and they don't need him, and he should just go back to his bride and leave them alone because Galen is not mating with her mom. Which again isn't important, but it's a part of Emma's personality that I love, that she just is like, look, get out my face, go. And this is also the chapter where Nalia, Emma's mother, finds out that Emma has the gift of Poseidon and realizes that all those years ago in the pond, Emma was using that gift to be saved, and she laughed in her face, if you remember from the last book. How you feel now? And she apologizes. And of course Emma's like, forget it. But it still hurts Emma, and the fact that Nalia does just forget it and it's not brought up again in this entire book really pisses me off. It's like Emma's mother doesn't care. I say this with all sincerity. I feel like she doesn't care, and it bothers me because it's brushed off in this book like it's nothing. But it's very important, and it's a sad portrayal, honestly. We're in orange tabs now, guys, at almost 20 minutes. We've only been through 2 tabs, but I'm gonna keep going, guys. We're gonna make it through this. So Grom makes a statement to show Emma that her being a half-breed doesn't bother him in the slightest, which of course he does because Nalia is the woman he wants to marry, so he has to accept Emma. And I feel like Grom shows more respect for Emma than her own mother. Just throwing that out there, because he actually talks to her and tries to figure out how she feels about things and asks her if it's okay for her mother to go back and if that's something she'd be okay with. Meanwhile, her mom's just sitting there, not asking anything, just saying, I'm gonna go back. Yeah, I'm gonna leave my daughter right here. She's 18, she'll be fine. And I'm gonna go back to my underwater kingdom. And then what? Nothing. Okay. All right. So when they do go back, and I think this is all what the orange tabs are about, it goes very awry, to say the least. Dragon is trying to take over the kingdoms. So he's got people lying for him, including the archives and some of the trackers, saying they don't recognize her as Nalia, the princess. So they're going to hold a tribunal, which is like a court hearing almost, to find out if she really is Nalia, because they don't believe it. You can imagine how this goes. The court hearing is majority of this book. Rummel, who's the archive in the last book that helped Galen out, is on Dragon's side, and he basically tells the king of Poseidon, who's come to see his daughter, that he doesn't recognize her as his daughter, and he's not questioning his royalness. He just wants to make sure he hasn't made a mistake. I would have punched him in his face. Honestly, that's what would have happened here, because if you're a king, why is it even a question? And that's another thing that bothers me about this book, is that the archives are going to hold a tribunal for the royals, but the royals are supposed to be kings and queens. So why can't they not do what they want, but why is it like, I understand it's kind of like a check and balances system, but it hasn't been brought up until now. Until now, the royals were to be respected, loved, and never challenged. But all of a sudden in this book, all of that changes, and the archives are able to hold a tribunal against the royals. That makes no sense. None at all. Then, of course, Emma's mother gets locked up because she attacks Paka, and they don't recognize her as being the queen of Poseidon, so they lock her up, guys. In this chapter with Emma, Raina and her go to see Dr. Mulligan in Florida. Raina, her, and Rachel. Raina gets hungover off drinking 1 glass of champagne, which, is that even possible? I digress. But they go to see him because Raina's voice is hurting, and he tells her that she's starting to have a blowhole, like a whale's blowhole, in the back of her throat. I feel like this would be obvious that she has the gift of Triton. You would guess it because the book is literally called Of Triton. So, yeah. But we don't know what the gift of Triton is, so it's just weird to them, I guess. But to me, I automatically was like, okay, well, she's definitely got a gift then. Galen gives Emma's mother a gift, which is a basically spike thingy. It's a codfish tail or something in case things go awry at this tribunal. He has some inner monologue that I don't know why I marked, because it's not all that important. In this chapter, it gets kind of odd that Torf is talking to Antonis and basically without Grom there. And Torf's been really weird since they got back, and he's not acting like himself, which kind of throws Galen off and threw me off a little bit as well. It wasn't too important. It was just something I noticed that was strange, to say the least. But we'll move on from it. Emma starts to figure out that there's a little bit more going on than what Galen had told her, because Raina is not supposed to go in the water because it's dangerous for her, but Raina is a royal. Emma is a half-breed, so it makes sense why she wouldn't be able to go in the water. But for Raina, it doesn't really make any sense at all, because the royals are supposed to be able to just do kind of whatever they want and not be challenged. So this is where Emma kind of starts to get curious and want to know what's going on herself. And I just wanted to mention that. We're in the yellow tabs, guys. Just 2 more different tabs to go through. I'm trying my best. In this little court thing, Jagan challenges King Antonis, basically saying he's not fit to rule because he hasn't come out for years and years and years, and he suspects that he's only coming out now to claim this commoner as his daughter so that they don't try to overthrow the royals. And basically King Antonis has a huge attitude and tries to kill Jagan, wraps his hand around his throat to be exact, and I just loved that part. So I had to mention it because this tribunal has just gone so terribly wrong. And again, I'm not understanding, because I thought the royals were like the top of the law, but apparently the archives are above them if they're able to do this and challenge them, which was never discussed nor mentioned in the first book. So yeah, that's something new. So in this chapter, Rachel gets some jet skis, and Raina is upset because nobody's ever asked what they think or how they feel about things. And it is true, and she has the right to be upset, and I kind of like that she questions it. And instead of listening in this chapter, she does go back home because it is her home and she's sick of people telling her what to do. And honestly, that's all the guys in this book ever do. Well, okay, Galen ever does. Torif, I like him, and Grom, he's not that way either, but yeah. So this chapter I just had marked because this is a chapter where Raina runs off and Emma gets on the jet ski and goes out into the water basically. And the whale from Florida, guys, from Florida, and she's in Jersey right now, but that's irrelevant because I know whales, I don't know how whales migrate or do things, but anyway, Goliath is his name, starts playing with her, accidentally knocks her off the jet ski into the water. She's not supposed to be in the water, but it's a good thing because she senses another Serena, a little girl who 2 fishermen are pulling up in their net, and she saves this little girl from being pulled up in the net, but in the process, Goliath gets speared. I feel bad because Emma never went down to check on him. She just like swims home, which bothers me because why would you not go check on him? You put him in this situation. You had him ram the boat to knock these people off. And Emma was seen, and so was this little girl who has a fin, by the way. We also find out in this chapter that Galen's fin has grown, which in the beginning meant nothing to me, but later on it does mean something. And Torif informs him that Emma has been in the water with a little one named Jassa. Raina shows up, and the royals have been told that they are not allowed to leave the arena because of what King Antonis did or tried to do to Jagan. They're forced to stay there. They're not allowed to leave, which again, I thought they were allowed to do whatever they wanted because they're kings and queens, but apparently not. As soon as Raina hits the water, they immediately go finding her because they wanted her to come to this tribunal. They wanted her there, guys, and she couldn't be found because she was on land. Well, this is where everything just kind of hits the fan because Torif says that he is going to go get the half-breed, and he asks Jagan to forgive him. He says the royals suck. He can't believe he's been lying for them. He says all this hurtful stuff, and Galen is like so upset because this is his best friend who has now betrayed him by saying he's going to go get Emma, and he exposes that they've been hiding this half-breed. He goes to get Emma, and he just shows up in her house. The door's unlocked, so he just goes in. Mind you, the power's out. It's the middle of a thunderstorm, and Emma is scared to death as soon as she sees him. She freaks out. And again, Torif sucks so bad at announcing himself because he doesn't announce himself until Emma's trying to run out of the house thinking that there's a murderer in her house. Then he's finally like, Emma, it's me. And if you don't want people in your house, you should lock the door, which she should have locked the door, but he should have announced himself. This is the second time he's done something like this. And it's so weird. I guess it's different in their species. I really don't know. In this chapter, we find out Torif didn't really betray Galen. He just doesn't think that they can prove that Paka doesn't have the gift of Poseidon and that Jagan is a liar any other way than for Emma to come back. And he's very upset that they think he would betray them. Like, he's pacing, he's scared. He's like, I can't believe they think I would betray them after all of this for something so little. So they decide to go to Hawaii because the tribunal area is near Hawaii. Like, that's where it's closest to. So they go to Hawaii because Emma can't swim all the way there and Torf can't carry her there in time. And these next two tabs are just me highlighting them going to Hawaii. This part makes no sense to me. They get on a helicopter to take them near the sea, right? The helicopter takes them off path or whatever for a bunch of money that Emma's got from Rachel. And Emma jumps out of the plane into a feeding frenzy of sharks. Which, if you remember, last time she saw a shark in the last book, she freaked out because there's sharks and Galen had to save her. But this time she's just like, I'm gonna show them proof. I'm gonna get these sharks under control, because apparently all fear is out the window at this point. But what doesn't make sense is the fact that nobody comes looking for her and him after they jump out of a helicopter into the middle of the ocean while they're on a guided tour. That doesn't make any sense at all. I would think that that would be the dumbest idea ever, because then you'd have a bunch of search parties looking for you as long as the guy tells them what happened, which I assume he would, even though he could be fired for going off path or whatever, still. But whatever, that happens. While they're waiting for Torf to return with Emma, they start discussing and talking, and this trial is still going. And then Grom takes the stage and the whole trial changes. Grom gets everything under control. He questions Paka again, and he does it in a way that makes so much sense. He goes, okay, well, show me your gift on other fish, because you're only showing me on these dolphins. And the gift of Poseidon was meant to feed us. We don't even eat dolphins, so you should be able to do it on other fish. First, she can't. Then he also brings up the fact that Jagan has broken the law, or Paka has broken the law, because she says that she was on land. So how come they can break some laws and other laws are not okay to break? And literally, as soon as Grom gets this place under control and everything's going their way, here comes Emma with a whole school of fish, so much so that they kick up the sand at the bottom of the ocean. So she comes in, and this is why I love Emma so much. She comes in with all these fish, and she's like, yeah, I got the gift of Poseidon. This is what it's supposed to look like. And she's instructing the fish as they go. And she makes fun of Jagan. And it is so freaking funny. It is the best part in this book, I think. What I also think is funny is the fact that Emma says to Jagan, she goes, oh, I'll have one of these sharks attack you. And she picks her on the crowd and she goes, you pick a shark to attack Jagan. It's okay, Paka has the gift, she'll save him. But before that can happen, somebody throws a whale harpoon thing at Emma and Galen. They're both prepared to get hit. Emma's in front of Galen, then Galen is in front of Emma, and then Raina screams, and boom, gift of Poseidon, guys. Raina has the gift of Poseidon. She moves the water with her voice. When that happens, everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're so focused on Raina. Emma's like, I didn't even have to come down here because Raina has a gift of her own. And then Jagan stabs Emma. Somehow now, even though they weren't allowed to leave before, the royals are allowed to leave in the midst of the chaos that occurs after Jagan stabs Emma and Galen takes her to shore. Emma's mom, Grom, and Galen are all at the house with Rachel now as soon as she wakes up. And it's just a flesh wound. Mind you, I don't know how it's just a flesh wound if you've been stabbed, but Emma's mom is taking care of her and she tries to have a mother-daughter moment. But again, I just hate her so much, so I just can't get with it. Raina brings Torf, and Galen is still upset with Torf, and so they start fighting, which really isn't that important because they're just fighting to fight at this point. And then King Antonis comes in. He explains that they need their help because two of their own have been captured after Raina's voice moved the water. And then Galen, apparently since they're twins, the gift was split between the two of them. Galen's large tail is part of the gift of Poseidon. He moves the water with his tail. So when he was swimming Emma out, he moved the entire, all of the water and stuff. Now the archives need their help because Jagan and another tracker have been captured by humans on this island. Rachel can't find very much information about the island at all, but Emma's like, look, if we're gonna save them, we're not killing any humans. So she has Rachel go clear out the sports store, get a bunch of life vests and all of that. They're researching this island, and Rachel says that she can mess with the plane schedules so that the island is kind of in distress. Not in distress, but like they're trying to figure that out so much that they're not focused on anything else that's going on. Then King Antinous catches Galen kissing Emma, and he says it's inappropriate behavior for a royal, that Emma deserves a mating ceremony before they, you know, have sex. Wink, wink. For their conditions to help the archives. Now, they were planning to live on land. They didn't really care anymore. They were like, we're going to have to live on land because we don't want to be a part of them anymore. Anybody that would question the royals, they're all wrong. They're not the Serena we grew up with. But now everybody's fine with that because the archives need their help, so they get to come up with conditions. The conditions being that Grom and Paka are unsealed so that Grom and Nalia can be sealed, and that Galen is allowed to mate with Emma and stay on land, and that Grom, Nalia, King Antinous, Torf, and Rhaena are allowed to come on land to visit Emma every once in a while because she's going to be part of the family. And that Emma is accepted by their people. They agree to these terms, but they say Emma is the only half-breed. She's an exception to the rule, and it will only just be Emma that is allowed to break this rule, which kind of upsets me because if Emma's not all that bad, why would anybody else be all that bad? Plus, you need their help, so you really don't have room to start talking. So then they go off to this island where Jagan and this other tracker are, and they're gonna flood the island like they did to kill the half-breeds before. But Rachel's zooming around on this boat, spreading out life jackets everywhere so that when they flood the island, the humans can be lifted up and put into these life jackets so that they don't drown. And Galen is going to swim Rhaena around while she screams so that they create enough waves to flood the entire island, and they can get Jagan and the other tracker and be on their way. Meanwhile, Emma is there as well to kind of control the fish, to get the fish to help the humans get up to the life jackets so that no one drowns. Rachel, of course, gets caught, and she's taken in a boat, and they think that she's safe because the boat's heading the opposite direction from the island, so hopefully she won't be there when they flood this island. Then it begins. They flood the island, more Serenas show up, they're there to help. They help Emma get all of the humans up to safety. They say, you know, we do value life, they're not harming us, we're not gonna let them die, so they swim them up to safety. Now they value life, but they didn't when they drowned the half-breeds years and years ago. But let's not even discuss that. The tracker who's helping is Joss's mother, and she's thankful that Emma saved her, so she doesn't mind helping Emma out. Once they flooded this whole island and all the humans are safe, they realize that while they can sense Jagan and the other tracker, they're not coming out. So they have to go get them, which Emma offers to go, but Galen is like, no, you stay here. He already tried to kill you once. He's probably going to try to do it again. And of course, it's an ambush. And as soon as they open the door, Jagan throws something. Galen's like, get down, but it spears Torf like right here and cuts him. Yeah, I thought he was going to die, but he doesn't. Emma's mom takes care of him, and Rhaena takes care of him, and he just is fading in and out of consciousness. And I think they're going to take him to land so that Dr. Mulligan can look at him and take care of him. In the midst of all this, they arrest Jagan and find out that Rachel has died. She drowned, and the irony of it is that Galen saved her from drowning once before. That's how he met her, and now because of him, she drowned in this, because I guess the humans took her back to the island and locked her up. I don't know how they would have missed that, but apparently they missed that. And so she couldn't get out, so she drowned. Which was sad. Even though I didn't like Rachel, it still hurt me, but I knew somebody was going to have to die. Like, as a part of this, the stakes are not high enough if somebody doesn't die typically in writing, so I wasn't surprised that one person had to not survive, and of course, it was Rachel. So Galen is really, really blaming himself for this. Meanwhile, her mom is like, well, what are we gonna do with her body? Which isn't what she says, but that was the question. And it's offered that they put her in the tomb for their kind because Rachel was so helpful to them. Galen is, of course, distraught. And everybody kind of leaves except for Emma and Galen. They just kind of sit there holding Rachel and grieving, which is to be expected. And that's kind of how the book ends. The ending is them, which I thought was so cute, dancing to their own prom. They don't go to prom. They dance on the ocean floor in full prom attire, which I thought was adorable. And then Galen says he needs to get out of there and that Emma should promise him to go to the mountains so they can get as far away from the sea as possible, because he can't take much more now that Rachel is gone, which is completely understandable because Rachel was like a mother to him and he had already lost his mother. Now to lose Rachel, he believes it's his fault because he did need her help, and of course they didn't keep enough of an eye on her as they should have. And I can't even imagine drowning like that, knowing that you can't get out, thinking that this is all the person you love's fault, because Galen is the reason that Rachel does all this stuff, and then she just, it's sad, guys. I just don't even want to talk about it really, because it's just so sad the way she dies, and the fact that that had to happen. I think it would have been just as good of a book if she hadn't died, but she dies. So we're at 42 minutes, guys, and I am done with my tabs. Done. So I rated this book 3.5 stars. General discussion, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. If you've read the first book, I would at least give this one a chance because it is much better. What I didn't like was that it took so long to get to the action scenes, which really bothered me. But I loved the kind of tribunal, the almost overthrowing. I loved Grom in this book. I think he really cared for Emma. I hated Nalia, still hate Nalia, can't stand her. I just feel like she didn't care at all. Emma in this book is a little less cringeworthy. She does a lot of stuff in this book that is just like snapback-ish. Like with the last book, she's like, look, I'm gonna do what I want to do and F you. And I love that about her personality, that she snaps on Jagan, she snaps on Grom in this book. I love that. Reyna takes control of her own destiny in this book, goes back home even though Torif has told her not to. Torif shows another side in this book where he should just be an actor. He fakes Jagan out, goes to get Emma's help, and of course he gets hurt in this book as well. Grom is still irritating and kind of controlling in this book, but I can see his real love for Emma in this book, how much he cares for her and all of that. And even though it's still insta-lovey, I do accept it and welcome it. And he fights so hard to have Emma, and he makes his intentions as clear as ever that he wants to be with Emma in this book, and he doesn't care about the laws or the rules or anything. And honestly, I can't be mad at that because yes, love is way more important than all of that stuff. So yeah, overall guys, I gave this book 3.5 stars and I really did enjoy it. It was a very short, easy read. Again, I did skim sometimes and I wish there was more action, but overall it was great. I loved it. And yeah, that is the end of my spoilery part of this review. And this is now almost 45 minutes. So I will let you guys get back to your regularly scheduled activities. Alrighty guys, if you like this review, please leave a like down below, comment, I reply to all comments as of right now, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!